Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is literally the foundation for, well, everything else we do. We're talking about self-awareness. We're going to take a really confident, calm look at the actual architecture of our own minds. Why we do the things we do, and more importantly, how we can start doing them a whole lot better. Let's get right into it. So why do some people keep repeating the exact same mistakes over and over again? I mean, we've all wondered this about a friend, coworker, or, let's be totally honest here, ourselves. It is such a universal frustration. It's like you see the pothole, you know the pothole is right there, and yet, boom, you drive right into it anyway.
And actually, it goes way deeper than just making mistakes. Have you ever wondered why certain habits seem practically impossible to break? Seriously, we can have all the willpower in the world, we can read every productivity book out there, and still find ourselves totally stuck in the exact same behavioral loops. It honestly feels like fighting an invisible force.
But what if the absolute biggest obstacle to your personal growth isn't actually the world around you? What if it's not your boss or your crazy schedule? What if the real barrier is just the parts of ourselves that we don't fully understand yet? Well, exploring the powerful role of self-awareness is exactly how we unlock that barrier.
So let's establish a really clear definition here. Self-awareness isn't some, mystical state of enlightenment. Not at all. It is purely and simply the practical ability to observe your own thoughts, your emotions, and your behaviors. It's just the act of stepping back and watching yourself operate, kind of like an objective observer.
I absolutely love this framing from the source material. Becoming a student of your own mind. Think about that for a second. It means self-awareness is an active, ongoing practice. You literally have to study your own mind. And remember, a good student doesn't judge the subject they're studying, they just try to understand exactly how it functions.
So what exactly is this student studying? Well, instead of just reacting automatically to everything, you start actively noticing key elements, like what actually triggers you, what motivates you, what distracts you. Think about those everyday automatic responses, like reflexively checking your phone the absolute second you feel a tiny bit bored or stressed out at your desk. You just start noticing these recurring patterns.
Because here is the secret: awareness creates understanding. And understanding, well, that creates choice. If you don't know why you're doing something, you're really just a passenger in your own life. But the moment you observe and actually understand the mechanism behind it, man, that is the exact moment you regain your power to choose a totally different path.
Section 1. The autopilot problem. Why we repeat patterns without questioning them. A massive portion of our daily actions happen completely automatically, right? Habits, reactions, our daily routines. But why is that? Well, biologically speaking, the brain is essentially an efficiency machine, and that's its core role in habit formation. Every single time you repeat an action, you strengthen a neural pathway. And over time, these reinforced neural pathways literally make automatic behaviors the path of least resistance. The brain just defaults to these familiar routines, even when those specific habits completely stop serving us.
And that right there is exactly why self-awareness matters so much. It acts as a wedge in that automatic loop. Instead of just letting the brain run down those deeply grooved neural pathways on autopilot, awareness gives us the incredible ability to just pause. To pause and examine what's really happening beneath the surface.
And I'm telling you, that pause makes all the difference in the world. Look, in our default state, we react impulsively. That's just the autopilot taking over. But through self-awareness, we shift to a much more awakened state where we can actually respond thoughtfully. We move away from those initial knee-jerk impulses and start making intentional decisions.
But to make that shift from impulsive to thoughtful, a pretty fundamental mental pivot has to happen. Instead of constantly asking yourself, what do I feel like doing right now? Which, let's face it, usually leads straight to a bad habit, self-aware people ask, why am I feeling this way? Understanding those underlying emotions is a total game changer. It allows you to respond to the actual problem, not just the symptom.
Section 2. Honest reflection. Observation without judgment or criticism. Okay, so getting to that level of understanding requires us to categorize our lives objectively, like what habits are actively helping you versus the ones that are hurting you, or what environments bring out your absolute best versus the situations that consistently challenge you or drag you down. It's kind of like a giant puzzle, but once you actually map out what works and what doesn't, the path forward becomes incredibly obvious. Now, if you just realized you have a whole lot of habits that are hurting you, don't panic. Seriously, self-awareness is not about perfection. It is never, ever about being flawless. It is entirely about learning. It's just gathering data about yourself so you can make much more informed choices moving forward.
Section 3. Small adjustments create growth. The power of compounding changes over time.
Because here's the best part. True self-awareness doesn't demand that you change your entire life overnight. It's all about compounding sequences. You use your new awareness to form just one new habit. Just one. And over time, that single habit shifts into a better routine. Then, that routine gives you the mental space to offer a different, much more thoughtful response to challenges. And ultimately, this whole sequence culminates in a fundamentally healthier perspective on life. So, growth often begins with simply noticing what needs attention. That is absolutely the core takeaway from today's explainer. The better you understand yourself, the better equipped you are to grow. It really does all start with the quiet but incredibly powerful act of just paying attention to your own mind.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a quick question to ponder, and I genuinely love to hear your thoughts on this. What is one thing you've learned about yourself recently? Seriously, take a moment for that honest reflection today. And be sure to join us for our next explainer, where we're going to dive into how your environment heavily influences your behavior. Until then, keep observing, keep learning, and thanks so much for listening.